Hey, thanks for stopping by Minnesota Black Robe Regiment. As always, make sure you are subscribed, that you're checking out the bell icon down there so that you're getting notifications, like, comment, and share. So, as some of you may be aware, I have addressed here in the last couple of days a school board meeting for the Albert Lee School District from May, wherein the superintendent, Mr. Funk, dressed down a school board member in a polite-ish sort of way. It was still a dressing down for daring to challenge his authority. So in subsequent to putting that video out, I had several people that decided that they were going to attend the school board meeting that took place tonight, Monday, July 19th, and they were going to express their frustration and their discontent with the Superintendent Funk for his treatment of the school board members, two of them, this Angie and this Jill, who did their level best to follow their oath and to the Constitution, to the state of Minnesota, and to the Republic. And they were going to address Superintendent Funk's behavior and really the lack of spine on the part of the rest of the school board. So several people showed up to address that, not the least of which was Lisa Hanson of Interchange fame, and chaos ensued. But it wasn't chaos that was brought on by the people that were there. It was, well, frankly, a lack of transparency on the part of the school board. And there were other issues at hand. One of them was a clear violation of the First Amendment. We read in the First Amendment that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. And some people say, well, this isn't Congress, this is a school board. But the 14th Amendment of the United States makes it imperative that all government be held to the same standard. And the school board is the most local of governments. The school board is at the grassroots. The school board is the most local of governments. So while the First Amendment says Congress, or government, if you will, from abridging freedom of speech, it also addresses any other governmental entity made up of elected and appointed servants from abridging the freedom of speech or the redress of grievances. And that's guaranteed to us in the 14th Amendment. So what happened tonight? Well, tonight, you're going to, in this video, you are going to see School Board Chair Dave.klatt, or Klatt, of the Albert Lee School District do some just egregious violations. He's going to commit egregious violations. So before I ramble on even more than I already have, we're going to watch how this plays out. I want to thank Diana Halsey for providing this live stream through Facebook.
On the agenda for regular board meeting during this time, each school board meeting up to 10 minutes of time will be allowed for district constituents to address the school board. Each person is asked to identify him or herself by name, and if he or she represents an organization, the name.
So we're going to stop there for just a second. A person should not have to address the school board by saying, I represent this organization, period. It doesn't matter who they're there for. They don't have an obligation to address that. And for the school board to put that parameter on somebody's address of them is just untenable. It's ridiculous. What it is it's their way of saying, we're going to keep track of you.
the group and their address. Remarks should be
And their address is unnecessary. What if I live in Albert Lea and I represent an organization that is from Washington, D.C.? Do I then not get, if I'm speaking on the part of the organization, do I then not get to speak? Is that what you're saying, Chair Dave.klatt? Is that what you're implying, Dave? Is that really what you want? Is that the direction you want to go with this? Because I'm going to rip you to shreds.
Rest of the board as a whole. Each presentation may have 2 minutes of time. The school board will not hear complaints of any individual school employees or permit discussing of such matters in an open meeting.
So the school board will not permit any complaints about a school district employee or allow discussion of those in an open meeting. Hogwash. Hogwash. If you want to, as a school board, restrict a disciplinary hearing as part of your purview, because you're having a conversation as a school board about disciplining a staff member, from the superintendent all the way through to the janitors, that's your prerogative. And according to Minnesota open meeting laws, you don't have to allow that to be public unless the employee who is the subject of the hearing requests an open public hearing. But you do not, sir, in any way, shape, or form, get to tell the public who's coming to you for a redress of grievances that they cannot mention a person by name with a complaint. You don't get to tell them that. You do not have the freedom to restrict their complaint. And I've already demonstrated to you in the First Amendment and through the 14th Amendment, which guarantees a equal protection clause, that as a governing body, you don't get to tell people what they cannot say during a public forum.
No response, reaction, or any action shall necessarily be taken by the board during the open forum portion of the meeting, and the school board will take no action at a meeting on an issue raised for the first time notified by the public. Okay.
Now, if the school board wants to refrain from taking action at the first mention of an issue, that's perfectly fine. They should take some time. They should sit back and reflect on what's being said. But what they're doing here is they're setting the parameters of what they will and will not allow, which they do not get to do. They are a governing body. And by governing, I do not mean they are the government, but they're acting as representatives, elected servants of the people. Elected servants of the people. And they're telling the people that they are elected to serve what they will and will not do and what they will and will not be allowed to say. This is ridiculous.
So let's see. First one on the list, I've got Lisa.
Lisa Hanson. Thank you. I hope this works. Normally I do not read off of my device, but we're going to try this tonight. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Lisa Hanson. I am a concerned citizen, mother, a grandma, and a business owner residing in District 241 for more than 25 years. Recently, I viewed a school board video dated May 17th, 2021. While viewing this video, what I saw in part was very dysfunctional at best. I viewed the superintendent, Mr. Funk, who appears to have forgotten.
We don't have any complaint about school employees.
Okay.
So he's stifling her First Amendment rights right here, First Amendment liberties. Dave, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting his name. Dave.klatt, whatever, more like a clot at this time, is stifling Lisa's freedom of speech. He's telling her, you don't get to say those things. He's telling her, you're sitting here in front of a governing board and you do not get to express your dissatisfaction by name with an individual. This is asinine. This is an absolute infringement and is absolute stifling effect on Lisa's First Amendment liberties. And as a school board chair, he has an obligation, whether he agrees with her or not, to defend her freedom to say it. And what he's doing instead is challenging her and shutting her down. And he's eating into her 2-minute time slot. Now, I don't know about any of you, but by the time you get started and you're required to introduce yourself and they use that 2 minutes against you, you're going to have no time to say anything that's on your mind. This is calculated, and it's cold calculation on top of that. It is meant to shut down dissent.
I say superintendent. This is not a complaint.
I will continue to listen, but okay, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Can I use the word, the name Mr. Funk, if it is just an observation?
I will continue to listen. Like, yeah, you damn right you will. You're a servant. Who the heck do you think you are, Clot? I will continue to listen. What are you, some sort of despot? You think you're the King George of Albert Lee? You are out of line. You are fortunate I wasn't there. You're fortunate Lisa is civil and measured and calm.
As an observation, go ahead.
And I would ask the board to also consider the seconds that this has taken to.
I'll give you 10 more.
Okay, as an observation. Shut up, public servant. Shut up, public servant. You are going to listen to me. That's what Lisa should have said. And I give her credit for remaining calm and in control. But I would have been, you're done. You're not talking anymore. Do you understand what he's doing? He's giving her permission to say certain things or taking away her permission to say certain things because it's his school board meeting. Well, what we know from previous meetings is that he doesn't run anything. The freaking superintendent runs everything. He runs it all. Funk runs everything. It's ridiculous. Who is he to tell her, oh, I'll allow it? He's not a judge. He's a servant. And even judges are servants. And now she's asking for her time back. And he gives her 10 seconds. So magnanimous of you, Clot.
Thank you. I view the superintendent, Mr. Funk, who appears to have forgotten who he works for. The subject matter was a request to increase the number of commencement tickets from 4 to 8. The request was presented by the people. I watched and listened as the superintendent and some of the board used every excuse in the book ad nauseum to not accommodate the people. Only 2 board members that I'm aware of seem to support the request. It was even stated by Mr. Funk that, quote, yeah, we could do it, but a board member is quoted to say, quote, I know they can do it.
10 seconds, Lisa.
I'm sorry?
10 more seconds. I gave them extra.
This is all in reference to the increase of tickets per family. Mr. Funk, as an appointed servant, belittled an elected servant, one of the people that you answer to, sir, who is speaking as a representative
Lisa,
of the
that's your 2
people.
minutes. Thank you for
I'm
that's
sorry,
your 2 minutes.
Mr. Klatt,
Yeah,
you took quite a little bit of time with me discussing.
and I gave you an extra about 35 seconds at this point, and I made that up for you. As you asked.
I am one of the public here, and
And you can hear the public here already starting to say, wow, wow. He ate up her time. He ate up her time and he cut her off because he doesn't want to hear what's being said.
one of the people, and I would like to finish what I have to say.
And what we have is our open forum. That is the rules that we follow.
And I would like to have the opportunity to finish this. The people want to hear what I have to say.
You see that. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate them.
I did not get to finish my comments, Mr. Klatt.
Yeah, you were over the 2 minute time limit, which I asked. That is in our meeting minutes. And so that's where we'll have to stop at. But thank you.
What I am calling for.
What a smug jerk. You know what? Actually, no, he's an ass. He's the very definition of an ass. And there's a way to say that, and we'll address this in just a second, but he's literally being an ass. He's being asinine. He is in control. Well, he's in control as much as Funk will allow him to be in control. See, Funk doesn't want to be on the record doing this. So Funk will pass this responsibility on to the school board, but especially to Klatt or whatever. But he won't address any of the rest of it. He runs the rest of the meeting.
I'm calling for the board.
That's good. Thank you very much.
As elected officials to listen to the people.
Okay, all right, Lisa, that's enough. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it. Thank you.
As a board,
Thank you.
to the people.
That's just it's been set for many years and how we run our open forum. I think again.
No, notice what Klatt just said. That how we run our open forum. This has been set for many years. Now pay very close attention to what happens here.
I'm calling for the board.
That's good. Thank you very much.
As elected officials to listen to the people.
Okay, all right, Lisa, that's enough. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it. Thank you.
As a board,
Thank you.
to the people.
That's just it's been set for many years on how we run our open forum. I think
Every time you lose it,
Tom, I'm usually next.
Wow. Point of information. It hasn't been many years. It was, I think during.
But do you hear that? A point of information or clarification.
Okay, Jill, thank you. I
It's a point of information.
Notice how he cut this Jill off. This is the Jill from the last video I did about the Albert Lee School Board, who seconded the Angie's motion. He's cutting her off. He doesn't want to hear it. Listen to what she says. Let's go back here just a couple of seconds.
It hasn't been many years. It was, I think during the calendar.
Okay, Jill, thank you. I appreciate it.
It's a point of information.
It's been, but we have had this as our board policy for some time.
You're not.
You hear that? She tried to give a time frame and he cut her off. He cut her off. He cut her off. This man is under the thumb of Funk. Funk doesn't want to hear any critiques of Funk. And so he's got Klatt obeying him. And now he's cutting off another school board member, another elected servant who has exactly the same amount of authority as he does. He will not even entertain a school board member making a point of clarification or a point of information.
We want to hear from Jill.
Yeah. Let her speak.
Your address?
My name is Tom Blondell. I'm from Rochester, Minnesota.
You're not within our district constituents, so we won't be able to listen.
Now, I want to note that Tom comes in here and he says, "Hey, my name is Tom Blondell. I'm from Rochester, Minnesota." Klatt immediately says, "You're not allowed to speak because you're not one of our constituents." Now,
You're a complete asshole.
Please sit down now.
You work for us.
Not for you, I don't.
For you,
Now, I love Tom. He's a passionate, fiery man. I've met him several times. I've walked a beat with him at rallies. Tom has provided security in very high-risk situations where Antifa and Black Lives Matter have come and physically threatened the safety and the lives of people. Tom can be a little vociferous at times. Probably not the best form to use the language that he used there. But quite honestly, as I said, Klatt's being an ass. He's just completely asinine. Tom is saying, look, I'm here to speak because you're shutting down people. You're shutting down people. He has every right in the world to address this. And he's standing up for other Americans who are standing on the Constitution. Should Tom have used that language? You know what? I don't know. Like, and who are we to question to some degree? And probably doesn't help our image much. It really probably doesn't. But who are we to challenge him for using that kind of language as a school board when I guarantee you they got people running around the Albert Lea School District in their schools, students who are using far worse language that's racially insensitive, that they're not challenging because it's their culture. I guarantee you that's happening. Was there a better way to address it? Sure. Tom could have addressed it better. But at this point, after what they just did to Lisa, I can understand. And that's why you hear the crowd clap and say, yeah, because I know most of the people in there wouldn't have talked that way either. And sometimes it takes somebody as brutal and as straightforward and as to the point as Tom. There again, not my style, but it's Tom's. And here's the issue. He has every freedom to say it. There again, probably doesn't help as much. But they went into this knowing that they were going to shut down any kind of communication. They knew this. Klatt knew this, and he took his directions from Funk. Do I know that for a fact? No, it's my opinion. It's some speculation, but you can just tell that this was planned ahead of time. And I want to add, you're about to see something else that no one else has ever reported from a school board meeting before in Albert Lea.
We're in the state of Minnesota. What are you doing here?
Jeff,
Do you have grandkids here?
thank you.
Thank you.
You hear that? He just summoned a law enforcement officer. Tom wasn't a threat. Tom was not a threat. Tom did nothing to threaten the safety or security of that building. He just didn't like the fact that he was being called out for his crap.
You're a hell of a guy. Good sure.
Please keep all comments respectful.
Okay.
Do you have grandkids here that you can speak for?
All right. So we are celebrating our district success is number 4.
Now, I want it to be noted, and I'm going to cut off. I'm not even going to get into the rest of the meeting at this point. I'm done with the rest of the meeting. I'll post a link. Maybe we can talk about what happens through the rest of the meeting. But I want it to be understood. The only reason that this happened is because of the video that I put out. They knew that there was going to be dissent, and they had a strategic plan built up, ready to go. And once again, I will link the totality of the videos that were provided by Diana, because I don't trust that the Albert Lea School District's going to put all of this out, because they don't want it on their YouTube channel and they don't want it on their regular site if they put it out on their Albert Lea area schools website. I could be wrong, and I'll apologize if I am, but I don't think they're going to put that part out. I don't think they will. Because they don't want to be seen being challenged and then shutting down the challenge. This is what you're dealing with, Minnesota. You have to understand this. This is what you are dealing with. These are the people who you have elected to represent you. This is asinine. This Dave.klatt, or whatever his name is, has completely violated the First Amendment liberties of the people of Albert Lee. After Lisa spoke and after Tom spoke, he was done. He wasn't going to support anymore. And I don't know if anybody else had even signed up. But why do I have to sign up to speak during a public forum? One. Two, where's the request on the part of the school board chair to say, is there anybody else that would like to share their thoughts? He's not interested in hearing anymore because he's already got a board member who's giving a point of clarification that we didn't get all of. Albert Lee, area schools, school board chair Klatt, you are on very thin ice constitutionally. In fact, you've already broken through the ice constitutionally. You have lost qualified immunity because you've just walked all over the First Amendment rights of the people. Let's take Tom out of the picture, okay? We're taking Tom out of the picture. Done. We're done with Tom in this conversation. Tom, I love you. I do. Your manner is different than my manner, but I love you, Tom, and you know that. But we're going to take Tom out of this. Mr. Klatt, you petty little tyrant. You shut Lisa down because she was saying things you didn't want to hear. And you do not get to tell the people who elected you whether or not they can say certain things. If you think that your meetings are now closed off and that no one's going to show up, you're crazy. You think that 25 to 30 people that were there tonight, this evening of July 19th was a lot? You have no idea what the people of Minnesota can do. Why don't you call over to Owatonna and ask them about the 30 plus people? Why don't you call over to Owatonna and ask Mark Sebring about the emails he's getting from people? Why don't you call over to other school districts? Hey, you know what? Better idea. Call out to Vail, Arizona, Klatt, and ask them what it was like to be surrounded by the people who said enough is enough. You aren't in charge. You are done. The best thing for you to do right now is to resign your position, not only as chair, but to resign your position on the school board and give it up to somebody like the Angie or the Jill, whoever they are, and let them take over as chair. Because when these people are done, you won't have a position on the school board anymore. You will not be chair. The resistance that you have gotten, and there again, this is not a call for any other action than for involvement. I reject any kind of physical reaction, strictly intellectual dialogue and persistent communication. This is far from over. Mr. Klatt, what you did tonight was an extreme violation, a very extreme violation of the First Amendment liberties as protected by the Constitution of the people in the Albert Lee School District, starting chiefly and foremost with Lisa Hanson. And surprise, surprise, you don't have a problem with treading all over the rights of an outspoken woman when she's not doing or saying the things that you want. And once again, this is for anybody who watches. This is not a call to violence. This is a call to civil action and civil disobedience. And here's something else. When you have to call law enforcement ahead of time, and I know for a fact that there has never been, at least in recent memory, a law enforcement officer on scene for a school board meeting. That says everything that we need to know about you, Mr. Klatt, and Funk. And this is a call out to anybody who serves in a law enforcement capacity. When you're called into a school board meeting and told to remove someone for voicing their dissent, you have a decision to make. Am I going to stand on the oath that I took to defend the Constitution and to uphold the Constitution and to protect the Constitution from enemies, both foreign and domestic? Or am I going to take my orders from an elected servant on a school board and remove someone who is speaking, whether I like the language or not, from the room, or try to encourage them or entice them to leave? You have to start asking yourselves, am I just following orders, or is your oath more important? Because every atrocious act ever implemented by a government has started with somebody in a service sector saying, I can't be held accountable. I was just following orders. So at some point, you're going to have to draw a line that you will not cross. And this is for every single person in law enforcement across the country, across the United States. Where is that line for you? Because I'm telling you right now, we're getting really close to it. Whatever it might be. Some of you are going to go over it and you won't care because you're just in it for the money. And others of you are going to have to do some soul searching and some examination and ask yourselves, where do I draw the line? Because what happened tonight, if this doesn't get stopped right now, in school board meetings and city council meetings, our republic is through. Klatt needs to go. Funk needs to go. And any school board member that supports Klatt and Funk needs to be ousted. Done. Every single one of them needs to be replaced. And I'm calling on the people of Albert Lea who give a damn about their community to step in and make sure that there are level-headed, constitutionally minded people serving on that school board, and that the superintendent knows his place and knows what his responsibility is, and that is to answer to the school board and answer to the people and to see to the education of their people and not control the school board and set their own agenda. This should outrage you, Albert Lea. Even if you disagree with Lisa Hanson or anybody else that was there, this should outrage you. Because if they can stifle her freedom of speech, and if they can stifle somebody else's freedom of speech, they can stifle yours. Where do you draw the line? Until next time, Sic Semper Tyrannis.